It's another beautiful moment here on Classic FM, the Discourse. And of course, we're rolling today, but it would seem as if, today's show will be on audio, even when you get to listen pretty much later on our YouTube channel. It will just be on audio, owing to the fact that, our connection on the video call hasn't actually been smooth, and the conversation honestly must go on. Welcome to the show. I'm Sulaiman, lady, and today we've been looking at, as always, our continuation of a look at the polity in Nigeria, looking at what exactly is happening. But specifically, recall we had featured the PDP National Vice Chairman, South here, Dan Obi, and we also asked questions of how his party has been faring as an opposition. Today we're not being joined by a party member, a member of the PDP, the People's Democratic Party, Prince Kasim Afegwa, who is also a media consultant. Good to have you join us on the show, Prince Afegwa.
Thank you very much, Sulaiman, for the opportunity of this platform.
Well, thank you for finding time to come. And again, to our listener, apologies, we can't get this to come on video on our YouTube channel. But quickly here, let's talk about, first, I want you to weigh in on what exactly is happening in the country at the moment. We've just had that very unfortunate incident, the unfortunate news of the students who were kidnapped in Kaduna State. 3 have been found dead. That's one heartbreaking news for all Nigerians. How did you receive the news?
Well, quite unfortunate, Sulaiman. Nigeria has become a killing field. I have said that repeatedly in several of my writings in my column. I've also said that once a government has failed to provide what is expected of it, as enshrined in the 1999 Constitution, Chapter 4, that is protection of lives and property of the people, such a government has outlived its usefulness. It's quite unfortunate that we find ourselves in this scenario, and we have a president who does not reach out to Nigerians. The only issue, condolence messages from the cocoon of the presidential villa. They don't interface with the people. We have a president that is not conversational. He doesn't dialogue with Nigerians. So it's like leaving us to our fate. And so to that extent, every day we hear news of bloodletting, kidnapping, slaughtering of our people, armed banditry, and what have you. So Nigeria has become a killing field. And so hearing this news of 3 students from the Greenfield University in Kaduna, I was quite sad. But again, I asked myself, it's like the government is telling us to your tent, oh Israel. Is it that we are going to continue to watch and see people plundering us, people killing us, bloodletting of whatever magnitude? It's quite alarming. And every day, if you wouldn't want to travel, you are unsafe. If you are in your home, you are unsafe. You are in your place of work, you are unsafe. You are in the school environment, you are unsafe. Nothing is safe in the country. Quite unfortunate.
It is unfortunate indeed, knowing full well that this government came on the back of that singular job, a promise to Nigerians that it was going to fix the security situation in the country, which hasn't actually happened. If we decide to stretch this, Mr. Afegwa, this also will bring us to the story, surrounding Nigeria's Minister for Digital Economy, talking about Isa Pantami. You are now. I want you to take off the PDP cap as an opposition and weigh in as a media expert, a consultant. The government has spoken. how would you say, how would you rate the response from the government, media communication wise?
Well, as I've said it on another platform, that when you have spokesmen to the president who are behaving like quacks, persons who ordinarily are supposed to be professionals, well grounded in the game of mass communication, now behaving like quacks, then you know that there is double jeopardy in our communications tutorials. Why I said this is very clear. When I had the issue of Issa Pantami, people say that they will relieve him of his responsibility, knowing full well that in Nigeria people don't resign appointments. I was just telling someone, I said, in this government of President Muhammadu Buhari, the moment you get in, you will never get out until the expiration of your tenure. Even when you are found wanting, even when you show crass incompetence, as many of them presently have, even when you show disdain for public opinion and public mood, you will never find the president taking action or wielding the big stick on anyone. So the case of Issa Pantami does not come to me as a surprise based on this perception and the position of government on it. That is one. Secondly, as a Nigerian who has been feeling the painful impact of insecurity and bloodletting, so to speak, and hearing that a principal officer of the government was at one time a supporter of the philosophies and ideologies of Al-Qaeda and the Taliban and ISWAP and what have you. And then you are now begin to try to factor into the statement credited to Abacha that if an insurgency lasts more than 24 hours, government has a hand in it. That was the statement of the late General Sani Abacha. So I begin to wonder that even now, there are those who are in government who are also informants to these insurgent groups. And if you stretch our imagination further, it won't be far away if we begin to lay complaint at the footstep of a man who is in charge of our data, our collective data. And with the information out there on the social media, an apology from the minister is a carriage of excess kindness. We don't need that kind of apology. We are talking about the life of a nation. We are talking about how does a spokesman come out to tell us the man's achievements outweigh his perception or his head beliefs in time past. How ridiculous.
Sorry to cut you there. You mentioned something. You said it is not in our tradition now, talking about leadership now, politicians, for them to resign even when found wanting. But we had thought that an example, a precedent had been laid when with the former finance minister, Kemi Adeosun. So what happened now?
Even that of Kemi Adeosun, I'm sure you knew it became almost like the daily topic on the lips of every Nigerian. Before she reluctantly, took the exit door. Let alone for the president, I don't think they would have done anything to her because there were explanations. They were still giving explanations as to what happened. And until we confirm, it became so obvious that it was an Oluwole NYC certificate that she did. But by and large, if the attitude of resignation is part and parcel of us, if our orientation is for the public good, if we owe responsibility to our people who have initially elected us, if we fail in our responsibility, the expectation will be that we resign our position, whether as a minister, even the president of the country. What are we benefiting from a system that has turn Nigeria to a blood field, a killing field. Until you are affected directly and indirectly, before you know the enormity of the challenges that we have at hand. Sulaiman, I have lost 3 brothers to kidnapping, shooting on the spot, killed on the spot. People, young men who were promising in their lives. I am pained every day when I see the scenario. Being painted in some quarters, trying to pull this idea of telling somebody to resign, or even trying to worship the president, hero worship, as if he is the maker of heaven and earth. It's so nauseating. It's so painful, so agonizing. And I keep asking myself, is it the country I want to leave my kids to grow up? Is it the same country? When in 2015 the APC was coming on board, they had 41 items captured in their manifesto, chief of which was restructuring, providing security, and ending the body of insurgency once and for all. They even told us how President Muhammadu Buhari chased the Metafinia rebels down to the Chad, to Chad Republic, until he was told to come back that he has surpassed the Nigerian boundary. But here we are today. Aside from being tired bones, the president is not able to offer leadership as he should be. And when you say anything, people will be calling to accuse you and all that. You know, it is sickening. You know, and I'm paid every day. Yes?
In all of this, because now you have gone back to 2015, you just reminded Nigerians of, the campaign promises, the manifestos of the APC, and of course, what was contained in that document. Of course, you are an insider because you were in the thick of things at that point in time. But at the moment, shouldn't we be talking about a formidable opposition in the PDP to helping Nigeria, highlight, tackle most of these things with the ruling government? So the PDP has been docile or sleeping.
Well, it's quite unfortunate that even you, as a monitor and manager of public news, even now see it so obvious and so copiously that the PDP as an opposition is sleeping. I started raising concerns barely 3 weeks ago. When I sat back, I looked at the PDP to which I belong, and I saw that we are not offering the alternative voice that should resonate some level of hope and positive expectations from Nigerians who have been detained by the incompetence of the APC and its collaborators. I raised those concerns looking at the leadership inertia, leadership apathy, leadership phlegmatism of the Secondus-led National Executive Committee. And I told myself, when APC was looking for presidency and power in 2015, prior to that, even President Buhari, as old as he was always going to the field, to the streets, to public places, protesting the so-called leadership inertia of the Jonathan-led administration. I can't remember several protests that were carried out. And at that point, they were able to gain public confidence that if this party come on board on the mantra of change, that something good will come for Nigeria. Now we are now at a crossroad. Crossroad in the sense that despite the crass incompetence of the APC-led government, despite the underperformance, despite the incapacity of that government, we are still rotating on the same axis and PDP looking lost in the wilderness, not knowing how to provide opposition. And I'm saying that Secondus led leadership of the PDP should give way so that we can get in solid brains who are intellectually savvy, who are forward-looking, to be able to reboot, rejig, revitalize, re-energize, reinvigorate the party, to be able to provide that leadership that is needed as an opposition voice that will resonate hope for the ordinary Nigerian. And now they are calling me names. By tomorrow, Monday, I'm taking my petition to EFCC and ICPC. My lawyers delay in putting together the documents.
What petition? Sorry, Mr. What petition?
I'm petitioning Uche Sekundu's led leadership of the PDP on financial impropriety, malfeasance, and lack of transparency in the running of the finances of the PDP, and by extension, asking these public anti-corruption agencies to look into their books, so that we can begin to do a self-purgation, some kind of moral rearmament as we confront the challenges of 2023 that will birth a new leadership in the country. If we continue in this level of apathy and inertia, chances are that, just like the name Secondus, PDP will come second again. No. And I'm not going to.
I think that's far reaching, or taking it too far, because let's leave the name out of this. Let's stay on the issues, because what has led to this is looking at the PDP, as an opposition, and you have highlighted the fact that you're not happy that the PDP has been silent, and now secondly you're talking about financial matters, which are grave when these are grave issues. Once you come into financial issues,
of course, they are grave. But it takes a man with clean hands to accuse the other of impropriety. It takes a man with financial morality to blame another of financial malfeasance.
I thought Uche Secondus, with all respect, should be praised and given some accolades here, because keep in mind when the PDP lost that election in 2015, it was almost going to collapse totally as a party. But for people like Uche Secondus and the governor of Rivers State, Nyesom Wike, who pulled, but these are known issues. They came together and pulled every other member of the PDP together, and that is why we're having the PDP, even though.
Sulaiman, well, I like your introspection, but it doesn't address the issues we have at hand. In 2017, December 9, to be precise, the Secondus leadership were voted into office, elected to run the party for the next 4 years. And by this year, 2021, December 9, their tenure is expected to expire. But what I'm saying is that in the entire process of midwifing responsibilities towards the 2019 election, and now we are looking to 2023, we don't need a man like Uche Secondus to continue to preside over the party. You see, you may want to glamorize the fact that they put the party together, they rally around people and all of that. The issues are far beyond that. If I ask you now, Sulaiman, what is the position of PDP on the 2021 budget? I am sure you cannot hazard a guess.
In fact, that's one of the reasons I asked you to come on.
If I ask you what is the position of PDP on insecurity, what would they do different if they were given opportunity tomorrow to continue to preside over the country? I'm sure you cannot tell me what it is. If I ask you what is the position of PDP on restructuring, I'm sure you won't be able to hazard a guess. So the point is, it's about time for us to be looking at forward-looking leadership that will speak to the dynamics of the modern era. And what are those dynamics? Dynamics of articulating your position, your blueprint, and selling them.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Selling them to people, because the only thing that sustains a nation is hope. But when people become hopeless, they seek self-help. And when you get to self-help, you see jungle justice. And once you get jungle justice, bloodletting becomes the order of the day, which is what we are seeing now. We are saying that even in the hopelessness that the APC has plunged us, that PDP should resonate to that hope. so based on the present leadership castration, we are not able to provide that alternative voice to Nigeria for them to even know what the PDP stands for on these sensitive issues of 2021 budget, restructuring, insecurity, the general well-being of the country, the economy, and all of this. So I am saying that you can celebrate Prince Secondus on the pages of newspaper and on the bottom ground. There are so many things that are so wrong with the party that we need to reposition it, retool it, rejig it, reboot it, so that it can actually assume its leadership role in the opposition politics of the country.
Let me quickly, we'll continue on that. Let me quickly bring this in because people listening to you, they've started reacting to two key things you have said. But quickly, for those who are still listening, they can get to be a part of it via WhatsApp by sending their messages to 0909 217 2973, 0909 217 2973. And of course, you can also be on Twitter. You can send your messages on Twitter at Classic FM 973. And this one here says is from Abu Otene. He says you're sending a petition against the PDP. You mean that in and out of power, the PDP cannot be trusted? For me, the PDP is not an option if the APC leaves. That is one. Let me take the other one. I think I'll just take two so that you can react to both of them. And for Adegboyega Adedeji, he's asking, I want to know the PDP chieftains' views on their possible presidential candidate in 2023, because as it is now, PDP is in disarray. That's from Adegboyega Adedeji. So we have two questions now for you, Mr. Afegwa.
Yeah, but let me thank Adegboyega for his question. It is part of the reason why I said the PDP, as it were, needs to be properly repositioned and revitalized so that it can actually assume its role and see the possibility, of ensuring that 2023 is able to clinch presidency. You see, you cannot go into a presidential contest when you are not seen as a viable alternative, when you are not seen as a credible platform. So, in trying to build that credible platform, we need to ensure that we are free from lethargic offenses such as financial malfeasance, corruption and what have you. And so my position is such that we need to purge ourselves of our SFCs, present ourselves to Nigerians as newborn or born-again politicians, and begin to the process of instilling that hope in a hopeless situation that we find ourselves under the APC government. So for me, it is not even about the presidency. Before you get to the presidency, the platform must be viable. Because if it is not viable, no matter the beauty or credentials of the person you are featuring as your presidential candidate, it will still end up at a no-win situation. So we need the party more than we need the individuals, because it is the party that flies the flag for the candidate. The candidate just represents the party. The party itself, the structure of the party, has a bigger responsibility to play in ensuring that you are able to sell your candidate to the electorate. And the second person who is talking about finances, that the PDP cannot be trusted. Well, the PDP can be trusted to the extent that the leadership comes up with transparent conduct. I've given an example of how I featured. I tried to contest election in 2019 for the Federal House of Reps, Federal constituency in my state of Edo. I obtained the form of 1.5 million, and we were told to campaign to the party account that the party account has been garnished because of debts that have been owed certain legal practitioners who are taking cases of litigations on behalf of the party for which the party was unable to pay. So if you look at the sales of funds from that 2019 elections and you factor that with others that have been standalone elections, the party has made so much billions of naira. because even the presidential election alone was 12 million, and about 12 or 13% collected forms. House of Reps are 350. If you multiply the number of persons who collected forms, they are running to billions. Where do you spend these billions? We want to see. It's good for us to have to ask ourselves questions.
Is it possible? Is it possible? Help us here before I take another question. Is it possible that members were not paying their dues, and whatever it is that we have seen from the PDP has been some personal efforts, financial contributions from some few individuals, like Olisa Metu and maybe one or two governors of the PDP?
No. The issues are beyond that. What I've just told you is that if you don't come to law if you don't come to equity with clean hands, people will not have the courage to even pay their dues or pay or give donations or what have you. I'm telling you that even for Anambra State alone, Anambra State election alone, about 16 persons are standing as aspirants. 13 of them are paying, 3 are finished. That one is free. Those 13 are paying 26 million, 21 million to the national pulse, 5 million to the state pulse. By the time you add that figure together, we already have about 300 or something million.
That's just for Anambra.
That's for Anambra State alone. This is the election that is coming. And that has been a practice in other states of the Federation where elections have been conducted. If you say that the issue of finances, the finances are not much, the one that you have gotten, what have you done with it? Let us know. Have you been able to organize workshops, seminars for them, for your members to articulate position papers on restructuring, on insecurity, on economy, on armed banditry and kidnapping? How do you stop them? How do you even generate a referendistic program that will sustain and endure the test of time? These are issues that should agitate our minds as members of the party. These are issues that Nigerians want to see a party that is aspiring to govern it talk about.
So Kasim, it shouldn't be you alone. Sorry to butt in. I'm just trying for us to get as much as issues we can. So this shouldn't be coming from you. According to your party books, what is it that your party should have been doing, in terms of opening the books, looking at the books? I'm talking about auditing now, because what you're asking is financial auditing.
Yes, of course. It shouldn't be coming from me alone. Somebody will have to speak out. But I can tell you without fear of contradiction that there are quite a number of persons who are supporting this position. I've been receiving calls in the last 2 weeks. People have been calling me as you suspend this, my petition to EFCC and ICPC and all of that. I shouldn't take the party to this. You see, once we have a democracy where members cannot even interrogate processes and leadership, then it becomes it's no longer a democracy, it's now become a monologue. If we accuse the APC government of being monologue, we're having a president who does not interface with us as Nigerians, then I should be in a party where I have the freedom to speak my mind and interrogate processes and issues. And I have just started one, and I want members of the party to also buy into this so that we can use our independent leadership and create a platform for getting other leadership that will need to take us to the promised land. If you want to play opposition, play it well. If you are in government, play your role well. It is because of the failure, despite the failures of the APC government, you can see that the party appears to be working stronger. Our members we are losing our members to APC. We gathered and left in Ogun State. Dimeni Bankole, who was once a speaker of the platform of PDP, and has left. You have David Mahi, sitting governor in Ebonyi State, living for the APC. You have quite a number of other persons.
Kasim Afegba, why are they leaving? Because the truth is that you just said something, even though, I want to quote you, even though it's not looking good from the APC government, you're losing your members to them. Is it because politicians always want to go to a party in power?
They want to go to a party in power, but they also want to go to a party whose future they see as brighter than the one they are. Because if you are not building your party to get a brighter future, chances are that human beings, given their nature, will want to explore something new.
Do you think the APC has a brighter? Do you think the APC has a brighter future?
Well, in the estimation of those who are living, they have their reasons. But I'm telling you that I have interfaced with quite a number of them. What they say is that they don't know what is happening in PDP. I mean that in APC, they don't know what is happening. You imagine a ruling party just sitting down and say that they are setting up a committee, contact mobilization and strategy committee, populated with 61, formidable persons. And we are doing reconciliation. We only have 7 or 8 persons in our reconciliation committee. You see, you must be ready. You must be ready to show that you have the gravitas, you have the grit to go the whole hog. Because the power game is not a game that you are served like a la carte.
It's your party. Has your party been hijacked?
Well, I wouldn't say it's been hijacked, but it's been decayed by the incompetence of the leadership as we have presently. And for us to be in the collective detention or in lunatic asylum, we have to develop the stamina to be able to look beyond the slope and offer some voice. And that's what we are doing. That's what I am doing. And so that once this continues, there will be the need for the party to sit back and say, wait a minute, what this young man is doing, he seems to be making sense. Let us sit down as National Executive Committee and look inward and see how we can reposition. The young man is making some sense. I can be sacrificed in the process. I don't give a damn, because of course there have been calls that I should be suspended, that there are calls I should be expelled, and all of that. You know, in Nigeria, when you are telling the truth, they will tell you, expel him, suspend him. But it doesn't take away the issues. The issues are very germane. The issues are located within the doorstep of leadership inertia. And once there is leadership inertia, the capacity to perform becomes so weak. The capacity to even stimulate public discourse and carry the people along becomes non-existent. So for me, it is beyond me. It is just that I'm a concerned mind because of the plight, the very deplorable plight that my country presently finds itself. And with the leadership, with a party in government like APC, with its own incompetencies, we cannot make a headway. So I don't want a situation of double jeopardy. That's why I'm preparing the way that, yes, in confronting 2023, it shouldn't just be about the contest of election. It should be about the processes leading to the contest.
And for politicians like yourself, 2023 is already here, and that is why.
Yes, very much so.
That is why many are wondering if this is not going to pull the gains of your party back, because if you decide to go ahead with the petition, by Monday, as said, it will mean that there will be some kind of internal bickering within your political party.
You see, Sulaiman, democracy does not come with half measures. Democracy talks about participation. It talks about transparency. It talks about probity, accountability, and it talks about interrogation of processes leading to outcomes. So when you have a democracy where you cannot interrogate processes leading to certain undesirable outcomes, then it becomes a monologue. And as much as I am a member of a party, I love to look at processes, and I don't want to swallow all the negative fledglings of realities that obtain in political parties. I was once a member of the APC. I raised these concerns and what have you. And when I couldn't raise them and I saw that I was becoming almost like a one-man army, I decided to leave, thinking that the PDP will offer hope, will offer succor. And here I am again with the same issues of lack of transparency, lack of accountability, and what have you.
Doesn't that tell you? Sorry to cut again. Doesn't that tell you that the parties are not any different, only but in their names, because they like ideology.
Yes, you are very correct. You are very, very correct. Of course, the parties are the same, but again, since they bear different names, let us also be
because
also think that they are different in their own way.
Absolutely, because some of the key things again that some will be asking is haven't tasted the APC. You were a member of the APC and now you're in PDP. Shouldn't you be leading some body of young Nigerians into a different political party or a different political formation towards
I've
2023.
tried that before. Don't forget, I've tried that before. I was once a member of the National Chairman of National Democratic Party. Nigerians want already made platforms where they will have the resources to pursue their legitimate aspirations. But for them to go through the mail, and put their effort into it is always an issue. So for me, whatever platform it is, I will always speak out.
How hopeful, are you that this we've lost the call? I think this is a call drop. We need to establish. If you just joined us, you're listening to Classic FM, and you're listening to the Discourse here on Classic FM, and we're hoping that our conversation is with Kasim Afegwa, who is a member of the PDP as well as a media consultant, looking at the PDP as an opposition and a few other things that the political party is doing towards 2023. As it stands at the moment, Mr. Afegwa is not happy with his political party, saying that this political party has not carried out or done its financial audit since this particular chairman and his team have been on the saddle. So he's asking for transparency. He's asking for this to be more open to Nigerians in terms of financial dealings in the party. He's also giving an instance with Anambra State, and talking about Anambra State, he's also looking at the dues that the aspirants and ultimately candidates will pay to contest the election in that state. This is from Anozie from Amowo, and he said, please ask Mr. Afegwa, doesn't it seem like he's being sponsored? Because it seems he's in this alone. I haven't heard other names mentioned alongside him on this. He's one-man army against the present PDP leadership that has been in the saddle since 2018 and a few months from the end of its tenure. He thinks you have been sponsored.
It's very convenient in Nigeria to blackmail anybody who is seen to be speaking the truth or exposing certain discrepancies. When you do anything, they say you are being sponsored. They have forgotten that I also wrote against the party to challenge the party's position for imposing Governor Obaseki on the party in the 2020 gubernatorial election. Why didn't they ask whether I was being sponsored then? You see, when something is not right, it is not right. We cannot be playing democracy of half measures. And so for me, my voice may be alone, but those who are supporting this cause are many in the party. And I don't need to be calling names. But let me drive this to a process and see where it will lead the party. Even if the leadership does not change, the leadership will wake up to its responsibility and know that people are watching and that there is the need for them to do what is right, so that Nigerians can restore a little bit of hope in the PDP. And in going forward, participating in the 2023 election, at least they can look up to PDP as a viable alternative. If it doesn't achieve such measure, it means that all our efforts will fail to be significant. And for me, I want a situation where APC will be made to eat the humble pie. Having failed in all the promises that they captured in their manifesto, having been unable to deliver on those promises, Nigerians should naturally punish them with their votes in 2023. But if we don't prepare ourselves, this will still continue.
This 2023 is another conversation, because I saw a moment, someone, you didn't actually do quite well in giving an answer to that, because the person was asking if there are candidates that you already see the PDP fielding in for the presidency in 2023.
No, but the person should also know that INEC has a timetable for political contests, electoral contests, and what have you. And so in 2021, April, it's too early for us to begin to talk about candidates. The point is, there are aspirants, there are those who are willing to contest using the party's platform. But I'm saying that it is beyond contest. Contest for contest sake will mean waste of resources. But if you have a Bible aspirant who later may become a candidate, the person will be needing a strong, virile, and very formidable party platform to be able to have electoral fortunes. It is only by that and through that such person's chances of winning the 2023 election will become manifest. But if you just have aspirants for the sake of aspirants, or you have a candidate with weak structure, you can't make a headway. This is Nigeria. So we must begin the conversation now. We must begin to interrogate the processes. We must begin to take leadership, into account. We must be able to, ask questions, raise concerns, so that there will be a conscious effort in building a formidable, front for the 2023 elections. Otherwise, it will just be like rotating on the same axis and take it to our traditional second position when it comes to presidential election.
So, what kind of opposition do you expect of the PDP? Keep in mind, I was almost going to say, let's draw a comparison between the APC in opposition with Lai Mohammed and the PDP in opposition now with your publicity secretary.
I want an opposition that first and foremost understands the issues in the country, an opposition that takes collective decisions and not decisions taken by from the whims and caprices of certain persons. I want an opposition that's able to articulate its blueprint, market them to Nigerians, and allow Nigerians to buy into those issues and blueprint. If you look at this scenario, government narrowly missed governor of Benue State or Tom, and all the PDP could do was just to issue a statement. Why not just take a nationwide protest amongst members of the party and all of that to ram home the urgent need for a revitalized and overhauled security architecture in the country? Why not make it loud and clear, state it loud and clear through public protests and what have you, that this government has failed in its responsibility of turning out the function encapsulated in Chapter 4 of the 1999 Constitution as amended? Why would you just sit back there? Your governor was almost killed by armed bandits or anybody who was so involved, and all you could do was to issue one dry, empty statement of condemnation. We are tired of reading boring statements, very unwieldy in their own content, telling us about what is it. No, what are you going to do different? What should you do different? If you are talking condemning government of insecurity and what have you, what is PDP going to do when they get government? What is your blueprint? Begin to sell that blueprint to Nigeria. Let the Nigerians begin to interrogate. What is wrong if you form a shadow cabinet? Shadow Secretary of Information, Shadow Secretary of Finance, Shadow Secretary of this, so that these professionals who are drawn from different fields will be able to speak to the issues from different point of view. Prior to 2015, there was a strong think tank group formed by the APC. They were taking the government of Goodluck Jonathan to task on every issue and offering alternatives of what they will do, and they came up with the mantra, change. Because they want a change of attitude, a change of processes, a change of approach to governance. Of course, we have seen the change now to be a failure in its every essence, but at least that was a mantra that got them the vote for them to unseat an incumbent government. So there are so much to be done, but which the PDP is not doing.
Let me ask you this, because it hadn't, gotten to this when you left the APC to the PDP. What were the things that you saw back then that caused your movement from the APC to the PDP?
Well, I left APC 2018, August 8th, when before then I was already challenging the party first for not organizing meetings of the various organs of the party under the leadership of Oyegu as national chairman and others. I also complained about the fact that restructuring was the number one item captured in the APC manifesto. there was a committee set up for which I also participated because chairman by El-Rufai, and they came up with recommendations and all of that because I served in the media committee of the APC Governor Forums as it were then. And so we were not doing what was captured. We said we were going to provide 3 million jobs annually. Instead of providing jobs, there were job losses. The presidency was not getting the governance right. The party was also not getting the politics right. So there was a concatenation of so many contradictions, a potpourri of ideas that won't lead us anywhere. And when I started criticizing, they were always taking up the point that Comrade Adams Oshomole, for whom I served as a commissioner in Edo State, was the one sending me. And I wanted to be my own man. I'm talking about the issue of sponsorship now. I wanted to be my own man. I said, no, Adams, if my position in the party is going to contradict or give you or blackmail you into thinking that you are the one sponsoring me, let me leave the party for you. And I left and I took a walk. And I remember that when I took a walk, I challenged even the leadership of Adams Oshomole of the APC then. So it is not, I'm not saying Mr. Saint, I'm produced from another mass. I'm a Nigerian who is just passionate about processes. And I like to see individuals playing their roles to the best of their ability. But if that ability is seen as incompetent in the eyes of many, then they have no business remaining in their position.
Well, looking at, because our conversation with Chief Danobi, he said the PDP is looking at a proposition whereby young Nigerians will be exempted from taking the forms to contest elections. How does that resonate with you? Is it something you think other parties should copy, or is it something that you think your party should truly go all out and embrace?
You see, Sulaiman, how do you promote the young generation of Nigerians to pursue their political aspirations if the structure of the party is seen to be weak? It is not standing for election that is the issue. It is how strong, how formidable, how credible is the platform for which you are testing your popularity among the electorate that matters. That is the crux of the matter. It is not, you can have beautiful ideas captured in your blueprint or in your paper, your manifesto and all of that. But translating those ideas into action requires a platform, an architecture that will show the roadmap of how to achieving that idea. But once you have those weak structures, you cannot pursue or actualize such ideas. Yes, fine. It is good to have forward-looking, positive-minded, young, vibrant Nigerians to participate in this process because they represent the hope of tomorrow, no doubt. But again, you need a viable platform to be able to actualize that, which is what my contention is. So my position is not far from what anybody is canvassing, but that the difference is that there has to be a formidable platform. That platform must be seen to be ready for governance. It must be seen to be ready to take bullets for Nigeria. I don't want leadership that is not ready to die for a cause. I want leadership that is able to go right on the field. You saw the way that quotable quotes are credited to the late Chadian president that he prefers to lead from the front so that he can engage the rebels rather than sit back and allow rebels to overrun his country. So in the process he died and he's been celebrated, not minding that he has been in government since 1990. So these are the issues. And we want leadership that can lead for the front. Not the one that sits in the cocoon or sit backward and want things to be done or smooth-fed and all that in the name of delegated responsibility. No. So if you want young Nigerians to be part and parcel of the power process or the political process, please make your platform viable, credible, so that they can actually pursue their legitimate aspirations without let of hindrance.
Talking about making the platform viable, one of the key things listening to you should be some kind of example from some states. Your party, you also started by reminding us that your party has lost some states to the and members to the APC, but it all boils down to what the PDP is doing in some of these states. Are there states that the PDP is performing better than any existing APC state that will, more or less be a point, of a selling point for members of the APC to say, I think the PDP is the party for us to go with in 2023, because, off the top of my head, which of the states?
You are still coming back to the same questions that has been agitating my mind. If you have a solid leadership structure, midwifery or handling or managing a party as diverse as the PDP, they should be able to sit back in the boardroom, look at their strengths, and be able to articulate the gains, of their intervention in governance at the state level, as well as their losses. And in that process, equate or position it or do a comparative analysis with governance of the other party and see the difference. Wike, for example, in Rivers State is doing a good job. I have visited Port Harcourt. I know how Port Harcourt was before he came on board, and I know how it looks like now. I have visited Sokoto State recently, about nearly 2 months ago, and I went around. And I've seen projects. And I told the governor, I said, why will you be big projects such as this that you are not letting Nigerians to know? You need to blow up trumpet. He says, no, that these projects are meant for my people. As much as my people are comfortable with me, I'm okay. And that's talking about Governor Tambo of Sokoto State. We have seen some other states. You can have the hallelujah songs in all of the states. There are some governors that are not doing well. But of course, if you run an analysis, you see that quite a number of them are performing based on what they get from the Federation account and the internally generated revenue or what have you. And so, my own is, as a party, what do you lose? You should sit back and say, okay, set up a committee, you articulate or sit back, run an analysis of your 14 states in the federal 15 states that you have, they draw the demographics, compare them, income that you have generated, infrastructure you have developed and all of that, then put another 15 states of proposition of the ruling APC, do a comparison based on using the same statistics. Then from there you now draw your conclusions. So that when people are speaking for you in public, they can speak to the issues, to the factors. That's why I'm saying that there is a huge leadership gap in the PDP. If there's no huge leadership gap, we will know the intervention of this state in regard to security, job creation, opportunities in terms of investment, and what have you. So there are so many things that are lacking. It is not just sitting back at opposition when they break you issue one statement that is either here or there, and you say that's what represents the opposition. No! Your statement must speak to certain basic facts. And one man cannot do the job of just articulating that position. That's why I'm advocating for a shadow cabinet. Shadow cabinet that will have the professionals handling the statistics, economics, engineers, estate developers, nation builders, and all of this, so that you will be able to articulate position paper that reflect your ideology as a party and your wishes and aspirations of the collective majority of Nigerians.
Now, let me take it down to when we say politics is local. For every politics, it is local. It brings us to your state. How is the PDP doing in your state?
I'm sure you are deliberately asking this question very full well that I am not attuned with the leadership of the PDP of the party of the governance process in Edo. I spoke publicly without any of doubt that the imposition of Governor Obaseki as a candidate of the PDP was not the proper thing to do. I worked openly for the APC candidate, believing that he will do better for the state if given opportunity. Now, since November 12, when this government came on stream till now, we only have 3 persons running the government. The governor, the deputy governor, and the secretary to the government. Only 3 persons. The cabinet has not been established 6 months after the government. What will you tell me that is? Is that the duty of what PDP should showcase to the world, or to the state, or to the country? Is that what is expected? There are a lot of grumblings and what have you. And if you don't have a buy-in of the people in your governance, policy implementation becomes difficult. So I don't know. Maybe we have a super governor in Edo, so maybe he has his own super energy of using the brains of the cabinet, captured in just 3 persons to deliver governance. But that is not a good example of how to run a government.
Well, you've actually highlighted some states, and top of on the list is the state, Sokoto State, and sadly, you've also highlighted one which you're not excited about. Well, it wasn't deliberate asking you that, because I actually wanted to find out when we say politics is local, to see where you're coming from. But quickly here, let's see if we can close on the race, even though you say we have to wait for the INEC timetable. But before INEC timetable, as Nigerians, we should be able to look at what exactly is coming. Talking about 2023, President Buhari is running his last, term in office. Yes, and of course, looking at the APC and the PDP, and having in mind what you're trying to pursue for your party, to see that your party does the right thing and be a better opposition. Do you think 2023 will be a defining moment for a dark horse to emerge?
Well, it all depends on how Nigerians, who are the voters, how much of participation they are able to put into the political and electoral process. Because we have had scenarios where people shout to the rooftop. But when it comes to election day, they sit in the comfort of their homes, watch television, watch movies, and they will not tune to channels and the other existing platforms, AIT and what have you. They will be looking at the results that are coming out. So you need participation. You need to mobilize the people. You need to conscientize them so that 2023 outcome will be a reflection of the wishes and aspirations. And if a government has been in power that has not performed even up to average, beyond what the people expected, such a government should naturally receive the punishment from the electorate, the voters, by voting such a government out, or voting the party out of government. But in doing that, you must be able to provide a viable alternative, which is why I'm insisting that the PDP must get its ass together. If you have tired brains, excuse them from the party. If you have tired legs, tell them to sit and allow those who have the wherewithal, the capacity and the intellectual capacity to lead the discourse, so that Nigerians will be told the home truth, and they will see that yes, this party has the tendency to behave differently, is given the opportunity to preside. Because it's not just about 2023. If you have a candidate who is being pushed and reloaded to become the president, it might be a continuation of the excesses we have now, the incapacity and the incompetencies. So when you have with the kind of statistics that are staring us in the face, a lot of job losses, 33% unemployment rate, almost the highest in the whole world. We have become the second country with worst electricity supply after Congo Republic. They said they are going to build electricity. We have nothing to show. Job creation, nothing to show. School feeding program, zero. Infrastructure development, zero. Road infrastructure decay. Where do we turn, Sulaiman? Where do we turn? And so if you want Nigerians to turn elsewhere, you must be able to speak up. And you must be able to prepare your ground so that when they turn to you, you have something to offer. Oh, when it comes to budgeting, this is what we are going to be doing in our own budgeting, whatever. Don't forget, this 2021 budget, you have 12.5 billion voted for presidential air fleet. The same presidential air fleet that the presidency said he was going to scrap and sell off those 11 planes or what have you, just leaving 1 or 2. They are still dead. Only 3 or 4 of them are flying very well. Others are just back and they are just being maintained all year round. When you talk about cutting down emphasis of government, medical tourism and what have you, when you have the president that is actually carrying out what he said he was going to do, he was going to stop, then you see the contradiction becoming so manifest on our very eyes. And you're not cashing in on all these loopholes and all of that so that you can build a formidable opposition. All you do is just to be issuing statements.
Well, it's a fine place for us to leave it. We do hope that we'll keep this conversation going.
Thank you very much, Sulaiman.
We thank you for your time, for your patience, and apologies to our listeners for the glitches experienced earlier on the show. We've been speaking with Kasim Afegwa, who's a member of the People's Democratic Party, the major opposition party in Nigeria, and of course, a media consultant. The Discourse returns next week. Bye-bye.